let us take one aspect that we were speaking about later when we're speaking about qualities. When we interact with things around us, we have to look at how we interact, because we must understand that although we're speaking about resonance, but the waves traveling or reflected or something from one thing to the other cause such resonance. So we must know, first of all, what happens with all those waves around us, media waves and all those things, what's happening with them. Now, we'll do some simple explanation of waves. Now, here, what I've drawn here is a blue wave moving vertically like this, okay? And the red one, a red aspect, moving horizontally like this. So usually waves, they move along two planes, like this and like this. And then we call them vertical and horizontal, but sometimes they could be rotating, but they still keep the angle between them. Now, every thing in nature has either the two waves or one wave. Humanity has only the horizontal wave. Our wavelengths of our fields move horizontal. When we emit waves, they move horizontal. All things that are good for us have horizontal waves. Now, the vertical aspect is very harming. What has the vertical aspect? Now, the first thing that had the vertical aspect is the sun. The sun produces vertical and horizontal. Well, how come the sun is the source of life and it produces both? Because the sun is a source of life for all kinds of creatures, whether it's vertical or it's horizontal. But we can, when we interact with the sun, we get the benefits of the horizontal, but we get the harm of the vertical. Otherwise, the sun wouldn't cause you skin cancer if it didn't have the vertical aspect, you see. Now, the sun hits onto the plants. The plants, they cancel the vertical, transform the energy of the sun into whatever chemical compounds and all that, but they reflect only the horizontal. The moon gets both aspects, reflects back only the horizontal. That's why you can't get skin cancer from the moon, you see. And in Germany, they have a saying, they say, good moon, bad sun. It's the peasants in Germany say that. Good, you say that too? Guter Mond, schlechter Sonne, huh? Because it has both. Now there's something else that's very important. All natural materials reflect only the horizontal, and all man-made materials reflect both. And this is a very, very dangerous thing. All our buildings and all like that reflect both. But when we go out in nature, all what we're getting is the horizontal. We're not getting the vertical. And that's why you feel. Now, vertical.
But you said the sun has also vertical.
Yes, but when you're in nature, the vertical is cancelled, and you get only. All natural objects reflects back the horizontal, and don't reflect the vertical at you. Unnatural objects will reflect both. You're going to do that in the radiesthesia class. We're going to go out and make measurements. We'll adjust pendular instruments on the vertical and see if a tree is reflecting it, if the wall of the building is reflecting it. If a wooden wall is reflecting vertical, because, let's say, paint makes a difference or doesn't make a difference. A painted wall, okay, what kind of paint is on it and all that. So you can actually test all materials for this reflection of the vertical. The vertical is disease. If you test your body and you find in your energy field any vertical aspects, that means disease in the body. This is very, very important. Now, when all the species in nature who use divine wisdom build their houses, build their nests, build their whatever they build there, somehow they always use natural materials, and somehow they end up always with balanced energy in there. We are the only species who builds haphazardly and end up increasing the vertical and making ourselves sick. Just by walking in a town without trees, in any area without trees, but in 10 minutes you'll be full of so much vertical in you that you'll feel it. Now, electricity, and that's has both vertical and horizontal. Now, all waves of communication have vertical and horizontal. You see? So we were just speaking about the danger of the information age, and we said it might be the end of humanity because quantitatively it's so much different than what we can take. But qualitatively, it's even more destructive. Quality-wise, it fills us with vertical energy. That vertical energy means cancer, means all those things, because you can detect cancer in the body years before it comes with detecting vertical emanations. Now, we have another problem, and that is Earth radiation. Earth radiation is a form of energy that comes out of the Earth when we have certain crossings of underground rivers at certain angles or certain cracks. And the Earth radiation here, we mean by Earth radiation is when those emanations or vortices that come out have a lot of vertical. And when you sleep in such a spot, then we can say that within so much time you'll end up with, when they discovered that, they used to say cancer, but now we could say immune deficiency is a more general word. See, so, and that is maybe a very important aspect now. That how come people are speaking of body electricity? Everybody speaks now about body electricity. If you had body electricity, then when I feel a bit down, I could just plug my hand into the electric outlet and feel, yeah, why not? If it's electricity. Why should electromagnetic fields be harmful to my body if my body has body electricity? That means I also have electromagnetic fields. I should be replenished by them. See? But electricity is not electricity. That means what I have is not the same kind of electricity. There are two types of electricities. What I have is a horizontal waveform. The other is horizontal and vertical. So it can't be the same. See? Now, we're going to speak about that in detail, because in the 1930s, and I'm going with you slowly to the beginning of two very important sciences at the time, and that's the modern geobiology and biobiology, two sciences that started in the 1930s or around the turn of the century. How they started: at the time, there was the huge cancer scare in Europe, because we are used to think of disease as being transmitted. 100 years ago, we couldn't accept the idea of disease being transmitted, because people were taught that disease arises from your own evil doings. And when Pasteur and those people said, no, they come from organisms, then we couldn't accept that. It was not accepted. And I think today both are valid. Both are valid. The concept that you can create your own disease inside you, and that's all about psychosomatic things. And also, but we have come to feel at ease with the idea of something, a virus or a bacteria or something hitting us. Then all of a sudden, people are getting cancer with no known cause. It's something, they're getting it, they can't protect themselves, and it was a huge scare. What do we do? I mean, how can we tackle that? So, while the medical people were trying to find solutions, the population in general had a big scare, and they were looking for answers. So, the answers came from the least expected. It came from the farmers. The farmers of Germany came and said, okay, if you want to know about cancer, we will tell you everything about it. We know how it happens and everything. We'll tell you exactly where it happens. Cancer is an earth-related disease because we have cancerous trees. We have cancerous spots, areas, trees along a cancerous path or a cancerous area will have deformed growth, will have sort of tumors coming out of them. So they didn't call them cancerous. I mean, the word cancerous is from the medical field, but they spoke about earth radiation, Erdstrahl, they just spoke about that, earth radiation. And of course everybody told them this is nonsense, there's nothing called earth radiation, there's nothing we can measure. So the farmers said you don't have to measure, you can see. I mean, look at a tree that's deformed, then look at another one that's deformed, draw a line between them and you have a line of earth radiation. They tell them we don't put our animals on such spots because they'll have stillbirth, they'll give no milk, the meat when you slaughter them will be all like that very tough meat and all that. So we avoid those cancer spots. So it's very simple. All you have to do is avoid the cancer spots, and you won't have cancer because cancer comes from that. And this was very strange. I mean, how come the farmers are teaching us? So a few scientists came. One of them is called von Pohl, and there are a few others. And he came in one of the towns in Germany. It's called Willisburg, I think. And he made a survey of all cancer cases, put them on the map, and he found a very strange thing, that 80% of the cancer cases were located along 10% of the area. Now, in that 10% of the area, on that pattern, was an area with extensive underwater streams. So the farmers were right in a way. Earth radiation had to do with that. Now, that's the beginning of geobiology, the science of understanding radiation of the Earth. Biobiology, at that time, started researching what happens when this thing goes into a building. How is it reflected, what intensified, what happens when it goes, what happens to our health. That's the beginning of both. At that time, you know, all the farmers in Europe many of them, they use water dowsers to find water. And this is, water dowsing is not exactly like mental dowsing, where it's related in a way, but it's different. Water dowsing is a very natural thing because your body is made of 70% water. So if you go over any water patch, any moving water, because when water moves, it makes friction. And this friction radiates some energy. When you go over it, your body feels it. The same thing like when the moon affects the tide, it affects the water in you, so you have an inner tide inside you. So we are a water being, 70% water. So it's very easy when you go on a water patch, something happens, there's a tide inside you that moves. Now, how can you feel that? If you go like that and you put your hand out like that and there's water, you'll feel a small tremble like that in your hand. But it might be so little that not everybody could feel it. But if you hold a branch, a twig, a green branch, because it should be an extension of your water system, of the energy field. You hold the green branch, it's like extending your antenna. This little trembling will become a bigger trembling like this. So the farmers used to go and they used to walk like this, and whenever there's a strong water crossing, when on a water crossing, then this energy is stronger because you have two paths crossing. In the middle there's a vortex coming up like this. So when you go in that vortex, your body feels it straight away. So the twig goes like that. So there is nothing psychic about it. This is a very natural thing that we are affected by water like we are affected by moon. Because if we would have believed those people who started this research, if we would have believed the geobiologists and the biobiologists in the 1930s, we wouldn't have had 80% of the cancer cases today. But why do we discard the research? Because the biobiologists made a fatal mistake after when there came the age of industrialization. The fatal mistake was we are detecting not only Earth radiation, but we are detecting electromagnetic fields, and they are bad. Now they move against the modern technology. And all of a sudden, it's the black sheep. They are the people who saying everything is bad, you know. And so this is why it's whenever in biobiology there's a certain research, somebody can influence another research to show the opposite. You know, somehow they keep it controversial. So it never really went into universities, into things, because they try to keep it controversial. And I think this is a very, very big mistake, because people have paid for that with cancers, with all things like that. Because now if in the 30s, 80% of cancers were due to Earth radiation, now it's probably 50-50. 50% Earth radiation and 50% electromagnetic fields. So people do not, until this moment, they do not understand the importance of dealing with those things. They think, okay, I mean, all these people are just spending their time, you know, I mean, they're against everything, you know, people, as if we're fanatics who are against everything. But really, 80% of cancer cases could have been saved, because you can enter any place, and it's very easy. If I have a bed like that, I can test, and if I find the spot on the bed where I detect any vertical radiation, I can tell you exactly the person sleeping in that bed will have cancer in this spot in his body in so many years. It's very easy to detect. But until then, you see, from the first day, he will have problems in that area of his body. He could have backaches, he could have immunity problems, he could have frequent allergies, he could have, I mean, there are so many things that lead up to it. And all you have to do sometimes is just move the bed 1 foot, and the thing is gone. So imagine that so many cases of cancer, so many lives could have been saved, or quality of lives could have been made better by moving a bed 1 foot, if we become aware of all that. And that's a very big problem, that if we do not become aware about Earth radiation and electromagnetic fields, there is no way our immune system is going to survive. So the media now, the information age, is putting the vertical radiation into our body, because everything crossing our body has vertical. Now there's another problem, and that's even a much, much bigger problem here. This bigger problem is whenever you think something negative or do something negative, the body can create vertical radiation. You see, you can actually produce the same vertical wave as in Earth radiation and as electricity just by negative actions. Different, I mean, they're different on every level. On a mental level, you could produce them. On an emotional level, you could produce them. On a physical level, you could produce them. A simple lie, a very simple lie, will produce a vertical negative wave. Imagine that. So maybe our morals are not just a way of preaching morals, but maybe they have a base in reality. See? So now this gives us a new way of seeing psychosomatic things. Because you think that psychosomatic things, that, okay, my negative emotions and negative thoughts can somehow make me sick, and positive emotions, positive thoughts can make me better. Okay, but what you don't understand, the mechanism here, is that they actually send in vertical waves through your body as if you are living permanently, provided of course you're doing whatever you're doing permanently wrong, as if you are living on Earth radiation or living in your place. You're generating, so you fight against the age of information and fight against Earth radiation while you're generating it inside your body. Now, there's another thing that we should take into consideration. When we increase the wavelengths in the air, in the age of information, by resonance, modern technology by resonance will enter into resonance with other vertical. All the verticals enter into resonance together. So in a place where you had that amount of Earth radiation, let's say 30 years ago, today by resonance with electromagnetic you have that amount. So we are actually increasing even the Earth radiation. We're increasing it today maybe 100-fold with electromagnetic waves. But what are we also increasing? We are increasing the negative emotional, psychological, mental actions in the body. They become natural. You see? Well, maybe you would look at a child and say, this child seems to lying for that child or doing that seems very natural. When we were young, you know, we would say that. Yeah, I mean, it didn't feel good, and many things that didn't feel good with us, they feel very good now with them. Because we have put the vertical that is in resonance with those actions. So now we cannot speak about immoral actions if we are actually fueling them. So the danger here is also on a psychological, mental level, there's a disruption. Of course, if you tell people that, I mean, say, hey, he's crazy now, he just wants to make, he has something against modern technology, he just wants to make us sort of fear all this thing or go away from it and all that. But no, it's not that. What we want to do is actually very simple. We want to cancel, if we can find a way to cancel the vertical from our modern technology, then I can actually transform the media into called scientifically carrier waves. A carrier wave is a wave that carries your voice, carries your picture, carries whatever it is, and takes it through things. It's penetrative. So, for example, my voice wouldn't go, but put on a carrier wave, it would, the carrier wave can go through the wall, so it can take my voice with it. And so carrier waves can carry information. Now what if I put a form of healing energy on that carrier wave that has the ability to cancel the vertical and balance the horizontal?
It helps the other, it helps resonate.
Not only that, you would have the information age will be all of a sudden, in a split second, it would be turned to a mass healing age. You'd have the golden age in just like that if you become aware of that. The problem is, von Paul said in the 1930s about Earth radiation, and we still doubt what he's saying till today. So we should do our best